In this exercise, we're going to finish the process of building the wireframe. We've built the grid. We have created the symbols and put them in the common library. We've also added an extension that will allow us to have text on the page, Greek text, that shows where the text will be placed rather than using lorem ipsum. So let's get started. To get yourself started, open up the wftemplate.png file located in your exercise folder. And what it is simply just the grid. Now, if you come over to your layers panel, you'll notice that these layers are locked, and we're going to have to put stuff in its own layer. So just unlock the leading layer, make sure it's selected, and then click the new layer dialog or the new layer button, relock the leading layer. By selecting a layer and then adding a new layer, it always goes in above it. So we're going to build the content over this. Okay, we can close the layers panel. We're finished with it. And let's open up the common library, and I'm just going to tear it off here so you can see what I'm doing. And all of the symbols that we created earlier are in the custom symbols area of the common library. And there are the symbols that we created. And the first one we want to work with is the header. So we're just going to pull the header out and we're just going to put it on the page, and you can see it's selected. And we're going to do this by the numbers. This is going to go right across the page and bump right across the top, and it's going to be approximately 125 pixels deep. So we're going to use the property panel for that one. So we're going to set the width to 1040. We're going to set the height to 125, and X and Y will be 0, 0. And we've got the header in place. Now we're going to do the same thing with the footer. So you just bring the footer onto the page, and same measurements, 1040, 125, and this time what we're going to do is just bump it right up against the bottom of the page. And one thing I like to do is just to zoom in and make sure that I'm not hanging over the edge. So you just make sure it's there. It is. This is good. And we'll set it to 0 on the x-axis. And then I'm just going to view, fit all, so I can see my entire page. It's looking good. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is toss in that graphic. Remember, there's a graphic that sort of hangs down in here. So we just grab the graphic symbol, pull it onto the page. There's the box, and it sort of gets tucked up against the footer. And it's going to be 280 pixels wide. And we're going to make it 400 pixels high. And we're going to set it 650 pixels over on the x-axis. And on the y-axis, it's about 125, so we'll just bring it down a couple of pixels. And then again, what you do is you just zoom in. And you can see that I've missed it a bit. So what I'm going to do is just click once on it, and using the up arrow, just sort of nudge it up into position. There we go. Back to my view, fit all. We also have a content area over here, so we're just going to grab the content symbol, pull it onto the stage or onto the canvas, just bump it up against the canvas, and it's going to be 520 pixels wide. Its height is going to be 125 pixels because it's just a little quote. And we're going to bump it right up against the edge. And remember, this distance here is 50 pixels from the edge of the page to the inside or the outside of this first margin. So that would just make the X 50 pixels. Return. And we'll take it up a little bit. We're going to make it about 215 pixels from the top. Next up is going to be another content area, which is that little area at the top there, or in the middle of the page. So we're just going to go to content again. We're going to grab the content box. And you notice that by pulling a symbol from the common library, it tells you it's already there. So you just click cancel. Now the reason it's already there is as soon as you put something from the common library onto the canvas, it actually gets moved into, as you can see, your document library. So we can just drag another copy of it right there. And it's going to be a little bit wider. We're going to make it 520 pixels wide and 160 pixels deep. We're going to bump it up against that column. So it's going to be 50 pixels over. And we're going to take it down just a few more pixels. We're going to take it down to 465. And we've got the content area done. Next up will be those little sidebars. So we can close the document library and we can pull the sidebar in. I'm going to show you a cool little trick for the sidebars. Okay, so we got one sidebar in. And what we're going to do is we're going to make it 220 pixels wide. We'll make it 275 deep. There we go. And now what we're going to do is actually bump it up against the edge. And we're going to zoom in here. I'm going to show you a little technique that really kind of works. Now this thing here actually goes across 4 columns. So what I want to do is just sort of give myself that edge right there. And we'll pull it over and we'll put it 1 column over there. And there we go. And if you want to see what the guides look like, you can go to View, Guides, Show the Guides. You can see that your guides do appear. They're part of the template. I'm going to show you a really cool little technique that you can use to get these things in play. I'm just going to shrink that. There we go. So what you do is you select it, and holding down the Option key, click, hold, drag, and notice that you can bring a copy directly over to there. And you can do the same thing here. Click, Option, hold, drag, and you can drag another copy over, 2 columns over. And now what I want to do is just sort of even these things up. So I'm just going to move that there and move this one over here. And what we've got are 2 columns of space between our sidebars, and they're all evenly spaced. So if I go to View, Fit All, you can see that I've got the sidebars all nicely evenly spaced across the bottom there. Okay, I'm going to go to View, Guides. I just want to turn off the guides. So I've got that done. Now there's a little image that goes in here, so obviously we're going to want to throw a graphic in here. Just grab the graphic, drop it in, and you just get the Scale tool, and just make it a little bit smaller, and just sort of pop it in there. And the final little bit, of course, is going to be the navigation at the bottom here. So we're going to open up the Common Library, Custom Symbols. There's the nav bar, and we just put it right there. And I can close that now. And again, you just get the tool and just drag it across so that it's even with the columns. And I've got my nav bar in place. Now what I want to do in here is sort of put some Greek text in. And I think what we'll do is we'll do the Greek text here. You can see how the Greek text works. So zoom in, because what you want to see are the lines right there. And you're going to come to Commands, Greek text, and you're going to insert black. And you can see there it is there. And we just put the text right there. And we're going to take the box out now. We don't need the symbol. Now here's where this thing really just does rock the house. These are the baselines for the text. So if I pull this down, I can actually put the text on the baseline. There we go. And we can take it out a little bit more. And I can pull it out to there. And what I've got is Greek text that is somewhat sitting on a baseline. And if I go to View, Fit All, you can see there's the text there, nicely Greeked up. And I want to see what this thing looks like without the grid. So I just come to my Layers panel, and I just turn off the visibility of the various layers. And you can see that we've got a nicely laid out wireframe sitting right here. Now there's a couple of things missing. Of course, we need a logo here. So we're going to come back to the library and we'll use a graphic, and we'll put a graphic in there. Scale it down. That's where the logo is going to go. You don't need exact sizing, but it's nice to have. And I want to show you another little trick. There's going to be some navigation links up at the top here, and you kind of want to show what they look like. So if you go to File, Import, there's a navtext PNG file in your exercise folder. Click Open, and just click, and there's the text. Kind of a neat little trick. And we can just put that there. And what we have created is the wireframe. So in this exercise, what I've done is I've shown you how to use the wireframing technique for building websites, very low risk, very quick actually. Gives you a really good idea of where stuff goes. You get to look at the balance and things like that. And using the common library and the document library, you can assemble wireframes in multiple pages over and over and over.